Hey there. 9 years ago, I recorded a tutorial on how to delete the white from the back of a drawing. I've discovered, to my horror, that it's actually kind of popular, and there's some adjustments I wanted to make to that and update it a little bit over the, what's happened over the last 9 years, which is actually not a lot. The basics of it are really still the same. If you want to start to affect your background layer, you're going to have to unlock it by double-clicking it. And then if you want to get a really clean removal of this drawing, we're going to have to clean up that white background a little bit. I hit Control L to bring up levels, but you can also go in your image adjustments here to affect your levels. And you can see why I don't like pulling down drop-down menus. It takes a lot longer. Control L is something I hit a lot, so it's a good one to learn. We're going to drag the right operand here towards the curve, towards the base of this curve. That's where we know we're going to be getting pure white out of a lot of this background. If there's any additional cleanup that needs to be done, pull up your dodge tool over here and set the range to highlights. Highlights is going to make it so that pixels that are lighter are going to be affected much more dramatically than pixels that are darker, which means that we can take a nice large soft brush and just start hitting a lot of this open area, and it's going to actually be taking very light gray pixels and making them pure white without having to be very precise about it. You can see little bits of dust and errant pencil marks vanish without actually painting over the drawing in a significant way. It's a nice, powerful shortcut to get through this really quick. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a selection based off the value of the pixels. This is going to be a dynamic selection. It's not going to you're not going to be using a lasso tool or a magic wand. You're going to go and select it based off of the color channel, the RGB color channel, which is a composite of all of the visual information in the canvas. You can control click the RGB layer and you're going to get exactly what we need. You can see next to it we've got this Control+2. This is an indicator of which hotkey we need to hit if we want to do this by hotkeys, which I always do. Control-Alt-2. It used to be something more complicated, but now this is actually the biggest update. They standardized this and they made it a lot easier to communicate. Control+2. Or Control-Alt-2 to hit it. And then you can just delete. The deletion here is going to be leaving us with some weird results. I'm hitting Control-D to deselect, or you can select. Oh my God, this is why we use hotkey. Deselection. Yeah, deselect. There we go. Boy, Control-D. There we are. Then we're going to want to lock the opacity on this layer, and I'm going to show you why. Because we get a weird result by having. Wow, that's bad. We get a weird result by just deleting those white pixels based off that selection. It's not that we didn't delete them enough. In fact, we deleted them the perfect amount. The problem is that even though they're partially transparent, they were previously also kind of lightly colored. So now we have these semi-transparent, lightly colored pixels, and it's awful looking. So we're going to lock the opacity on the layer from the tab over here, or you can hit the backslash. I can't remember which is forward or backslash. The one next to the shift key. And that'll lock our opacity. You can then do a fill with black, and we are back in business. What we have now is a totally black drawing that is modulated based off of its in its transparency. And when we start to paint underneath it, you can see the effects of this really clearly. Anything that's with the brush tool, anything that's that ends up behind the figure here is going to show through in a nice, soft, clean way. Even really up close, you can see that we've still got grain from the pencil drawing, but we're not introducing any kind of weird artifacting like you might get with some other deletion methods. So, why do we want this? There's a couple of big reasons. Whenever you copy and paste information out of a layer that's using the multiplied blending mode, you may not get what you're seeing on the screen. If we have these pixels just set to transparent and we start making selections from them, we start getting actual selections of this drawing, and it's not going to start to reappear as we copy and paste onto new layers with weird bits of white around them, which is what you get when you start using multiply. The other thing that you can do is, with my older work method, I used to lay in flats first and meticulously go in and build out the silhouette of the character on a flat layer. And then at some point, I would want to merge the sketch and the flats together and start painting on this, all merged together. I don't work that way anymore, but it can be really useful for comic book style stuff. And with that in mind, you can also relock these layers and start to paint in whatever colors you want to be able to fill the lines with different colors. This is really useful in comic book work as well because you're able to do color holds. So even if you don't have a tight, perfectly black and white inked drawing, you can still delete the white from it and still do color holds and still draw underneath it and still copy and paste stuff off of it. It's a really super powerful way of working in comparison to the multiply blending mode. And even 9 years later, I still work this way, and I do this with every single piece that I scan in. Yeah, I can't believe I'm updating this tutorial 9 years later. Thanks a lot.